Welcome back, dear one, to this quiet reservoir of spiritual contemplation. We stand now at the threshold of a deeper understanding, preparing to immerse ourselves fully into the 7 foundational pillars of preparation for the divine financial shift. As we proceed, I ask you to keep your breath slow, your mind open, and your heart receptive. We will move slowly, peeling back the layers of human psychology and spiritual law that govern the flow of abundance to the one who is chosen. This is a deliberate, meditative journey designed to embed these truths not just in your intellect, but in the deepest strata of your subconscious being. We will explore each point with exhaustive detail, ensuring that by the time we conclude, your inner architecture is fully prepared to receive and wisely steward the forthcoming resources. Let us begin this close-up exploration, one measured thought at a time. First, recognize that this is not about chasing money, but about aligning with the assignment. When the divine shift comes, it does not visit the unprepared, the reckless, or the spiritually asleep. It flows to the one whose character has been refined, whose motives have been purified, and whose heart has been trained to value responsibility over ego. Each pillar we will touch is like a spiritual blueprint, reconfiguring how you think, feel, and respond to the idea of wealth. As you listen, do not rush to apply or fix anything. Simply allow the words to wash over your consciousness like gentle waves, softening old resistance and dissolving hidden fears around increase. Understand that this preparation is itself a sign that heaven has you in mind for more. The instruction you are receiving is not random. It is a sacred indicator that spiritual systems are already moving on your behalf. As we journey through these 7 pillars, you will notice subtle shifts in your mindset. Less desperation, more clarity; less anxiety, more trust; less attachment, more surrender. Let every sentence become a mirror, revealing where you are still clinging to survival thinking instead of stepping into stewardship thinking. For now, your only task is to be present. Feel your shoulders relax, your jaw unclench, and your breathing deepen. You are not late, and you are not behind. You are being positioned. Allow this awareness to settle into you like a seed in fertile soil. From this still surrendered posture, we are now ready to move into the first pillar. Point 1, acknowledging the purpose of increase. The sudden increase is rarely about personal comfort. It is about capacity. The wealth you are to receive is a tool, an engine to power your designated ministry, project, or mission. Your preparation begins by clearly defining what this mission is and committing to allocate the majority of this new resource towards that divine purpose. This mental commitment acts as a spiritual lock, ensuring the flow remains pure and directed by heavenly wisdom. This commitment must be etched not in fleeting thought, but in the foundational marble of your inner self. When we speak of capacity, we are addressing the vessel itself, the psychological and spiritual infrastructure of the chosen one. The universe does not waste infinite resources on limited intentions. If the inflow is set to be sudden and large, a divine surge, it is because the outflow required of you is equally vast and immediate. This principle is one of geometric proportion. The resource matches the requirement of the assignment. To acknowledge the purpose is to move beyond the shallow gratification of the ego, which sees money as an end, and to embrace the profound responsibility of the soul, which sees money as a means to a transformative end. We must recognize that the trial of the chosen one is often a test of endurance through lack, but the final graduation is invariably a test of integrity through abundance. Many can pass the test of poverty. Far fewer maintain their spiritual sobriety during the test of prosperity. Therefore, the first layer of preparation involves a deep forensic analysis of your divine assignment. What is the precise nature of the work? Is it building a sanctuary, founding an educational ministry, supporting a vast humanitarian effort, or perhaps simply establishing a quiet space of deep healing that requires absolute financial insulation? You must move from vague intention to sacred specificity. Write the mission down, not as a wish list, but as a covenant. Declare internally and externally that 98% or 88% or whatever sacred proportion feels right of this sudden influx is consecrated before it arrives, earmarked for the acceleration of the divine plan. This pre-commitment establishes an energetic boundary. It tells the subconscious mind, this is not personal indulgence. This is sacred fuel. This prevents the common spiritual trap where the influx leads to dissipation. When the sudden wealth lands upon an uncommitted vessel, it often fractures the vessel through confusion, fear, or worldly temptation. The funds scatter because the purpose was not anchored. By contrast, the committed vessel acts as a conduit. The energy flows in with force, meets the established boundary of the mission, and is immediately directed outward in powerful, effective waves of action. This commitment is the primary function of your spiritual stewardship. It is the signature on the contract with destiny. Furthermore, acknowledging the purpose means accepting that this wealth may isolate you from those who misunderstand its spiritual origin. Your peace must be rooted in the clarity of your mission, not in the approval of the crowd. The pressure to spend, to display, and to conform to the world's definition of wealth will be immense. Your acknowledged purpose becomes your shield, a quiet, resolute no to all distractions that do not align with your consecrated work. It anchors you in humility because you understand that you are merely the custodian of resources that belong to the kingdom. The true wealth, the enduring treasure, is the fulfilling of the mission itself, and the material sudden wealth is simply the key to unlock the gate to the next phase of your destiny. This deep understanding must be revisited daily. Let it be the quiet hum beneath all your actions. Let it be the single, unwavering light guiding your financial future. This initial profound commitment ensures that the divine provision remains a blessing and never a snare. Point 2, the discipline of the sober mind. When the shift occurs, the ego will immediately attempt to hijack the narrative, promoting excitement, hurried decisions, or reckless spending. The chosen one must practice the ancient spiritual discipline of sober discernment. This means pausing before every major decision, seeking not impulsive gratification but quiet counsel, and refusing to allow euphoria to cloud the wisdom that God has gifted you. This discipline is the very antidote to the intoxication of sudden, unexpected material change. The shock of the blessing can be as destabilizing as the shock of a curse, for both strip the individual of their accustomed reality. The sober mind is the unmoved anchor in the storm of new possibilities. We are not aiming for suppression of joy, but the transformation of reaction into response. A reaction is automatic, driven by fear, greed, or euphoria. It is the voice of the unhealed ego seeking instant validation or security. A response, conversely, is deliberate, measured, and informed by spiritual insight. It is the voice of the soul, The practice of sober discernment requires the implementation of a mandatory delay mechanism for all significant actions related to the new resources. For instance, establish a simple, unwavering rule. No major purchase, no significant investment, and no substantial disbursement will be made within the first 30 days of receiving the influx. This moratorium is not a sign of distrust. It is an act of supreme self-control and spiritual reverence. During this 30-day pause, the mind moves from the emotional processing center, the limbic system, prone to excitement and panic, to the higher cortical function, the center of calm, reasoned, and visionary planning. The initial rush of adrenaline and dopamine, triggered by the sudden reality of wealth, must be allowed to settle. You must allow your physical and energetic systems to acclimatize to the new frequency of abundance. Use this period of delay for intensive, quiet reflection. Employ the tools of meditation and deep prayer, seeking confirmation on the stewardship plan outlined in point 1. Ask repeatedly and sincerely, is this action born of true need or merely egoic desire? The sober mind understands that the most crucial decisions are often the most quiet. It rejects the loud, fast-paced counsel of financial experts who may be spiritually blind, and instead prioritizes the gentle, persistent whisper of the divine. This practice prevents the sudden wealth from becoming a psychological trap, where the newfound freedom is immediately curtailed by impulsive commitments, unsustainable liabilities, or unwise partnerships born of premature excitement. Furthermore, the sober mind actively resists the psychological impulse toward performative wealth. The urge to demonstrate the new reality through visible luxury or dramatic announcements is the ego seeking external validation. The chosen one knows that true power is held silently and applied strategically. The discipline of the sober mind is the discipline of invisibility and effectiveness. It allows you to move with precision, applying resources where they create the maximum spiritual and tangible impact, without drawing unnecessary attention or inviting the destructive energies of envy or immediate scrutiny. It is the steady, clear-eyed focus of a captain navigating a deep-sea vessel, relying on the quiet hum of the instrument panel, not the loud clamor on the deck. The sober mind is the safeguard that transforms sudden wealth from a fleeting, chaotic event into a sustained, disciplined, and purposeful flow of divine provision. Point 3, revisiting the vow of simplicity. Material gain can inadvertently create new chains. To prepare, spend time meditating on the core truth of your identity, which is separate from all possessions. Practice living simply now, affirming that your inner peace is not contingent upon the future abundance. This creates a strong internal grounding that prevents the coming wealth from defining or corrupting your spirit. This vow of simplicity is not a commitment to destitution. It is a profound declaration of internal freedom. It is the spiritual firewall against the gravitational pull of materialism. The paradox of the chosen one receiving sudden wealth is this: the greatest gift of that wealth is the freedom from need, which must not be immediately traded for the burden of excessive wants. Simplicity is the spiritual practice of identifying and honoring the minimum necessary requirement for joy and spiritual efficacy. It means understanding that the value of an object is separate from its cost. The moment the mind equates self-worth with net worth, the spiritual foundation has begun to crumble. The preparation here involves a conscious, mindful engagement with your current possessions. Look around your space and ask yourself not what you wish to acquire, but what you can gently release right now. This is a deep exercise in detachment. By releasing objects that no longer serve your mission or your peace, you signal to the universe and to your subconscious that you are the master of matter, not its slave. This current simplicity becomes the blueprint for future stewardship. When the sudden wealth arrives, the disciplined mind will know to invest the majority into the mission, point one, and to only upgrade the personal standard of living to the point of maximum spiritual comfort and operational efficiency, rather than maximum luxury. The spiritual comfort threshold is a highly personal and sacred boundary. For one person, it may mean upgrading to a secure, quiet home that facilitates deep prayer and undisturbed work. For another, it may mean acquiring high-quality tools that reduce the friction in their work. It is never about the ostentatious display that demands external admiration. The danger of wealth is that it attempts to fill the internal void that only spiritual connection can satisfy. The vow of simplicity ensures that the void remains consecrated to the divine. It affirms the truth. I am whole, regardless of the zeros in my bank account. If you cannot maintain inner peace while possessing little, you will certainly lose it when possessing much. The expansion of material resources must be met with an equal or greater expansion of spiritual discipline. Simplicity, therefore, is not a financial choice. It is a psychological prophylaxis against spiritual corruption. Meditate on the image of the minimalist life, not bare but purely focused. Visualize your future surroundings post-shift, comfortable, practical, and beautiful, yet devoid of anything that screams, "Look at me." The true sign of the spiritually mature, wealthy individual is the quiet, intentional use of resources that serves purpose and preserves inner stillness. This quiet resolve ensures that you remain the owner of the wealth, and the wealth never ever owns you. Point 4, the gentle severing of old emotional contracts. Many struggle with an unconscious poverty consciousness, a lingering emotional contract with lack. This internal belief system will sabotage the sudden wealth. Begin to gently release shame surrounding money and the fear of success. Understand that financial increase is merely a mirror reflecting the vastness of your spiritual worth, which is limitless. This is arguably the most crucial internal work, for spiritual warfare often takes place not on the external battlefield, but in the dark, hidden chambers of the subconscious mind. Emotional contracts are deeply held, often intergenerational beliefs about money that have been signed in the blood of past traumas, perceived failures, or cultural scarcity narratives. These contracts manifest as destructive self-talk. I am not worthy of ease. Wealth is dirty or corrupt, or I will lose it all, so why bother? These deep-seated beliefs operate as an internal sabotage mechanism. When the sudden wealth arrives, the old contract screams, "Violation, abort, return to the familiar state of struggle." This often triggers immediate self-destructive financial behavior, reckless spending, giving away all the funds out of guilt, or making disastrous investments simply to return to the perceived safety of lack. The severing process must be gentle, because these contracts are intertwined with the very wiring of the self. You must approach this internal landscape with compassion, not judgment. Start by identifying the root lie. Where did the shame about money originate? Was it a parental message, a religious misinterpretation, or a personal financial mistake you were never able to forgive yourself for? Once the lie is identified, you perform the spiritual severing. This is a meditative ritual where you visualize the old contract as a piece of paper, a chain, or a dark thread connecting you to the past scarcity narrative. In your mind's eye, with quiet authority, you declare the contract null and void, understanding that your spiritual worth, being a chosen one, is absolute and eternal, and therefore cannot be limited by any temporal financial condition, past or present. Then you replace the void with a new divine contract of worthiness and flow. This new contract simply states, I am a clear, responsible conduit for divine abundance which flows to me in perfect timing and perfect measure to fulfill my consecrated purpose. This work is continuous. Every time the old fear surfaces, the tremor of panic about loss, the guilt of ease, you gently redirect the thought back to the new contract. This is psychological retraining rooted in spiritual truth. Furthermore, you must address the fear of success. Many fear the isolation, the responsibility, and the change that success brings. This fear is often louder than the fear of failure. By severing the old contracts, you embrace the truth that your worth is limitless. Text, spiritual, a right arrow, empty. Therefore, the sudden wealth is not a measure of new worth, but a necessary outward manifestation of the already existing infinite spiritual reality. It is a mirror. If the mirror is suddenly bright, it simply means you are finally allowing your inner light to be reflected externally. Embrace the light. Release the guilt. You are worthy of the ease required to perform your divine mission. This internal freedom is the essential lubricant that ensures the sudden flow of resources does not jam the machinery of your soul. Point 5. Training in proactive stewardship. Do not wait until the wealth arrives to plan for its management. Start acting as a good steward of what you have right now, no matter how small. Create a quiet, reflective plan for giving, investing, and allocating resources, treating the future abundance as a certainty. This spiritual pre-paving prepares the energetic pathway for the financial transfer to manifest smoothly. Stewardship is a habit, not a circumstance. If you are careless with 10 units, the universe will not entrust you with 10,000. Proactive stewardship is the current daily evidence of your future capability. It is the practical application of faith. The training begins immediately with the principle of mindful tithing and giving. Tithing at its core is not an obligation but an acknowledgement of the divine source. By consistently and joyfully returning the first portion of your current income to a consecrated place or purpose, you solidify the belief that the flow is eternal and sourced from something infinitely greater than your job or your efforts. This ritual trains the mind to trust the flow even during scarcity, which is the perfect preparation for trusting the flow during radical abundance. The proactive plan must be detailed and laid out in serene certainty. You are designing the infrastructure of the future flow. This requires quiet, concentrated time spent creating a simple, non-negotiable budget for the sudden wealth. The categories must include the mission fund, point 1, the security fund, a buffer of true financial freedom, not worry, the investment fund for measured, sustainable growth, and the living fund for the comfortable but simple standard of living, point 3. This is not a fantasy exercise. It is the spiritual equivalent of an engineer drawing up the precise plans for a dam that will soon hold a great reservoir of water. Without the plan, the water will burst the banks. With the plan, it becomes harnessed, controllable energy. The pre-paving aspect is deeply energetic. By treating the future abundance as a certainty, by having the budget prepared, the legal structures lightly researched, and the mission defined, you eliminate the energetic resistance of doubt and chaos. You send a clear, powerful signal to the universe. I am ready. The space has been cleared. The structure is in place. This preparation is not about having millions in the bank. It is about having $1 million mindset in your present circumstance. Practice treating your current modest funds with respect and reverence. No frivolous spending, no hidden debts, no financial carelessness. Every dollar managed today is a lesson in managing 10,000 tomorrow. This practice elevates your spiritual vibration to meet the frequency of the coming provision, ensuring that when the transfer happens, it is not a jarring event, but a smooth, harmonious completion of a process you have already mentally and spiritually completed. Proactive stewardship is the commitment to order, and divine abundance flows most naturally into order. Point 6, embracing the new level of spiritual visibility. Sudden wealth often brings immediate visibility and potentially increased scrutiny or spiritual warfare. Prepare your spirit for this exposure. Do not hide your light, but learn to stand firmly in your new authority. The preparation involves a quiet acceptance that your life is now a testament, and your financial freedom will be an undeniable sign to others. The chosen one moves through the world with an inherent subtle glow, but sudden wealth acts as a floodlight, illuminating every aspect of your life, both beautiful and vulnerable. The immediate consequence is a profound shift in how you are perceived by others. This new visibility carries with it two key challenges that must be prepared for: the scrutiny of envy and the burden of expectation. The scrutiny of envy is the energetic resistance of those who cannot reconcile your peace with your prosperity. It manifests as criticism, suspicion, and often outright spiritual and emotional attack. Some will question your worthiness. Others will project their insecurities onto the blessings you've received. Yet your preparation here is not to build a wall of defense, but to become a transparent conduit, someone who is unfazed, unshaken, and spiritually insulated. When you live fully committed to the purpose, point 1, and remain humble in your simplicity, point 3, the envy cannot stick. It cannot cling to a soul that has been purified by intention and anchored in purpose. Instead, your very life becomes an open book, testifying that the wealth is not for selfish gain, but for consecrated service. You learn to bless those who criticize you, understanding that their reaction is born of their own unhealed poverty consciousness. They are responding to the reflection of what they have not yet healed, not to who you truly are. And so you bless them, release them, and continue walking your path without bitterness. The burden of expectation is the psychological and spiritual pressure from friends, family, acquaintances, and even strangers who now see you as the answer to all their problems. They will come with their needs, their emergencies, their emotional stories, and their unspoken belief that you them access to your blessing. The phone calls, the requests, the pleas, they will multiply exponentially. For some, your wealth will feel like communal property, something meant to be distributed at their convenience. This is where your preparation becomes essential. You must establish sacred, non-negotiable boundaries before the shift. You must calmly, gently, and lovingly learn to say, this no is not a lack of compassion. It is an act of supreme stewardship, protecting the resources that have been consecrated for the greater mission. You must draw a clear line between charity, giving from obedience and divine instruction, and codependence, giving from guilt, pressure, or emotional manipulation. One empowers, the other drains. The chosen one learns early that enabling someone's spiritual stagnation is not kindness, it is sabotage. Standing in your new authority means accepting a deeper truth. You are now a leader, an example, and a source of hope. But you're not the savior of every individual. Your task is to empower, not merely to rescue, to uplift, not to carry, to inspire, not to validate the dependency of others. As you embrace this visibility, understand that the Lord is using your sudden, quiet success as a prophetic sign. Your financial freedom, achieved through divine grace and disciplined stewardship, is a visible, tangible proof that God honors those who remain faithful to their calling. Your elevation is not random. Your breakthrough is not accidental. It is intentional, purposeful, and divinely timed. Others will see your blessing and be stirred. Some will awaken. Others will repent. Many will become inspired to rise into their own calling. That is the true purpose of the visibility, not your glory, but the activation of destinies. Walk in this truth with quiet dignity, knowing that every action you take now speaks volumes. Let your simplicity be your sermon, and your purposeful allocation of resources be your profoundest testimony. Let your restraint speak of wisdom, and your generosity speak of obedience, not ego. The preparation is the peaceful acceptance that your life is no longer just your own. It is a visible, well-resourced chapter in the divine plan. Stand firm, chosen one. Your wealth is not merely money. It is a mantle. Wear it with humility, authority, and unwavering spiritual clarity. Point 7. Cultivating extreme gratitude in advance. The most powerful preparatory step is to live in a state of profound, settled gratitude for the blessings that are already on their way. This is not merely saying thank you, but living from the consciousness of already having received. This deep, internal state of thankfulness aligns your frequency with the abundance, ensuring that the wealth that finds you is truly reflective of your higher spiritual vibration. This final point is the spiritual culmination of all the previous preparation, acting as the energetic magnet that locks the divine manifestation into place. Gratitude in advance, or preemptive thanksgiving, is the ultimate expression of faith and certainty. It moves beyond hope, I hope this happens, into the realm of absolute knowing. I know this has already been accomplished in the spiritual realm. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has already touched the promise with their spirit before their hands ever touch it in the physical. The mechanism of this powerful practice lies in vibrational alignment. The universe operates on the principle of resonance. If you vibrate at the frequency of lack, anxiety, and doubt, you will unintentionally repel the flow. But if you vibrate at the frequency of profound thankfulness, ease, and abundance, you create an irresistible vacuum that draws the manifestation toward you with speed, accuracy, and grace. This is why the chosen ones who master gratitude in advance often witness sudden breakthrough moments, because they are spiritually synchronized with what is coming, not emotionally conflicted with what appears absent. The cultivation of this extreme gratitude must be a daily internal practice. Dedicate specific time each day to sit quietly and feel the emotion of having received the sudden wealth and successfully executed the divine mission. This is not intellectual visualization, it is emotional immersion. Feel the solid peace of the debt being wiped clean. Feel the quiet joy of the first major allocation of the mission fund. Feel the stability of your life being anchored in absolute financial freedom. Feel the relief, the warmth, the freedom in your chest, as though it has already happened. Let your body experience it before your bank account does. Practice the simple, honest statement, "Thank you, it is done." These 4 words are among the most powerful spiritual affirmations in existence because they collapse the energetic distance between desire and fulfillment. This practice dismantles the final resistance point, the human tendency to focus on what is missing rather than what is coming. By focusing your heart on the reality of the accomplished blessing, you dissolve the time gap between the promise and the manifestation. Furthermore, this extreme gratitude is the safeguard against the spoiled or entitled spirit. The chosen one who receives sudden wealth without preemptive thanksgiving risks viewing the blessing as an entitlement rather than a grace. Entitlement is spiritually corrosive. It blinds the soul, distorts purpose, and quickly leads to misuse and eventual loss. Gratitude, conversely, maintains humility. It keeps the heart soft, anchored, and mature, recognizing that every resource, every dollar, every opportunity, every open door is a freely given gift from the source. This sense of grace ensures that the wealth is handled with deep respect, profound reverence, and unwavering sobriety. Living in this state of continuous thanksgiving ensures that when the transfer finally occurs, it is received not with shock or hysteria, but with a quiet, knowing nod of recognition. "Ah, there it is, just as I prepared for, thank you." Now let the real work begin. This is the final, most beautiful preparation, the gentle tuning of your soul to the music of unending divine favor, making you a harmonious vessel for the abundant flow that is already traveling toward you. Dear chosen one, the seasons of the Spirit move with perfect timing, and nothing that is arriving in your life is random or rushed. What appears sudden to the human eye has been in motion in the unseen for a very long time. Do not be distracted by the loudness of the world or the shock of the numbers that are coming your way. These things are merely the surface evidence of a much deeper spiritual alignment. Your journey has prepared you for this moment, not by making you stronger in your own will, but by grounding you more deeply in the divine will, shaping you into someone who can hold blessing without fear and responsibility without pride. The wealth approaching you is not just material increase, it is a confirmation of your inner transformation, a resource entrusted to you and a sign that your moment of profound service is here. It comes to elevate not just your life, but the lives you are called to touch. Remain calm, for excitement can scatter the mind. Remain sober, for clarity is your greatest protection. Remain focused on the gentle, unwavering light of your purpose, for purpose is the anchor that keeps abundance from becoming a storm. You are entering a season where your inner maturity must guide your outer blessings. Continue to walk with humility, gratitude, and spiritual discipline. The path ahead is not chaotic, it is orchestrated. The timing is not accidental, it is divinely measured. The unfolding is not uncertain, it is precise. All is unfolding exactly as it should be. Peace be with you, and may your spirit remain steady as the divine completes what it has begun in you.